Welcome to BARI Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
Well, another week, another episode of BARI Banter. Can I just start by saying I'm really not tech savvy? You'd think after like 24 episodes I would get it right, but on Tuesday, we were down at Tangalooma, and someone messaged and was like, hey, the audio only put 6 minutes up and it's in like super fast forward. I had no idea how it did that, like honestly. And so yeah, I had to get the ex to come around, and she got down and saved the day and re-uploaded it. And,
so what did we learn on Tuesday morning, Shannon?
Don't let Shannon edit the podcast.
No. We definitely need to let Shannon edit the podcast because I would not be able to do that. But we don't go away on Tuesday mornings.
Yeah, or I take the laptop.
Or you take the laptop.
Yeah, I know. That was a bit of a stressful one.
Trying to remotely get BARI Banter episode up onto Spotify
with someone who's never used the Apple computer.
Whilst we're on a remote island.
Yeah, challenges.
Well done.
Well done. I learned a few things. But yeah, we did go away, and I love those little trips because it was something that I really had to sit back and think about, was just how much easier things are now. Like, it's almost like it's so easy you don't even think about it because of the extra weight. And I was talking about it in one of my posts when I was actually down there, where it's like, I don't have that social anxiety anymore. I can just go do the ATVs. I can go and play a game without that constant, like, I just remember having that feeling of just constant public, like, social anxiety. Of just like feeling judged and feeling uncomfortable because, like, I know people probably weren't judging me, but I was overthinking things and analysing things. And so, yeah, I just had that the other week where I was just like, I was doing all this stuff and like snorkeling and, stand-up paddleboarding without, like, the only way that I was like, people might be judging me because of how bad I am at it, but that's, I can deal with that.
Somebody sent me a message and said, do you actually work or do you just go away all the time? Because, like, we went away to Montville like a couple of weeks ago, and then we went away to Tangalooma. Yeah. And somebody was like, yeah, do you actually have a job, or do you just, like, are you a lady of leisure? And I was like, oh God, I wish I was a lady of leisure. But the difference is now is that, like, I used to put so much pressure on myself to go to work, make the money, live up to everybody else's expectations. And now I literally work enough hours that I survive.
Yeah. Like, I'm the same. Like, I get that all the time. People are like, do you work? And I'm like, I'm a very, like, low cost creature to run. And I've stopped, like, once upon a time I was living to work, where now I'm really trying to find that balance of working to live.
But I also believe that the more money you have, the more you spend as well.
The more you want. Yeah. And it's never, it's the same as, like, physical appearance. Money's the same thing. If you get in the thing of chasing it, enough's never going to be enough. You just sometimes just got to be comfortable with what you have. And break it back and see what you actually do need.
At the end of the day, I would way prefer to be relaxing on an island than at work. Love my job, but would prefer to be getting sunburnt and sore for the next couple of days. So
yeah, well, what else happened this week? I came out in Women's Day.
Oh, that's right.
Funny story about that. When they first emailed me asking to do that article, I messaged them back and said, hey, just to clarify, I'm happy to do it, but you do realise I'm a boy. Women's Day, girl's name, and they were like, no, we sometimes put guys in there, and I was like, okay, well, I'm happy to do it, but I just want to clarify, just to make sure you didn't think,
So anybody who hasn't seen it yet, Shannon is a feature article in Women's Day.
Yeah,
he hasn't even bought the episode.
No, Mum brought it. That's all that matters. I read it, so. And
it's very pretty and pink.
Yeah, and apparently I'm 34.
Yeah.
That was something I didn't pick up in the when she read it to me, because I'm actually 33.
Yeah, because she knew that you were having a birthday, so she just added another year on.
Yeah. Well, anyway, tonight's a good episode.
Yeah,
we don't have one guest. We have two guests.
It's our first ever couple.
Yeah, as Alita was saying, and I just said this to the couple before. Alita was all week like, oh yeah, we're doing the couple later in the week. Doing that couple later in the week. And I'm like, Alita, to the wrong people, that may sound a bit weird, but
on Wednesday night we're doing a couple.
Yeah. So anyway, you might as well introduce our couple.
Should I tell you who it all is? So tonight our guests went under the knife back in 2019, both opting for the gastric sleeve, starting at 162 kilos and 128.8 kilos. They have both lost a combined weight of over 100 kilos and are smashing some pretty epic goals together. Please welcome tonight's guests, Daniel and Hayley, also known as Big Macs to Small Fries on Instagram.
Hey
Firstly,
guys.
can I say I love your Instagram name? Like I was really thinking about it, and I was like, that's bloody brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, it did take a while to think that up. I went through about 100 before I come up with one that stuck.
Oh, really?
Hayley McDonald was going to sue us for sure over that.
Yeah, that's it. You know, you get too much attention and they'll be like, we may have to pull you back on that one there a little bit. So you had so your surgery. Who was the first to go with surgery?
Hayley.
Hayley was the first to go with surgery. And were you influenced by Hayley having it, Dan, to pull the pin?
Yeah, to a point. Hayley's been talking about it for a while before we got it done. And then once when she's got it done, I still hadn't thought about doing it. And she got it done, and I figured, well, I'm cooking not much for you. I might as well just not cook much for both of us. And I just decided, woke up one morning, said I'm getting it done, went to the doctor, I got a referral, walked into the surgeon's office the next week and said, book me in for 5 weeks' time.
Wow.
He's like, I can't do it. I'm like, yes, you can. I want this date because I wanted it before Christmas to meet up with time off that I already had off work so I could have the recovery time. And he goes, it's like the ladies in the office are going to be upset with you. I'm like, oh, that's their concern. And
That's their problem, not
the next
mine.
morning they run up and I booked in for 5 weeks' time. So
Wow.
Same surgeon?
7 weeks appointment. Pardon?
Did you both have the same surgeon?
And how long were you guys together? Like, how long have you been together for?
Married 14 years in 2 weeks and been together for 20 years.
Whoa.
Wow.
Happy anniversary for 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, congratulations, guys.
Is
So, we met, so
high school sweethearts.
I was out of school, but Hayley was still in high school.
So weight, was it something like back in high school? Were you both overweight, or is it something that has only been sort of recently in life? Or like talk us through back when you guys first met. Were you both relatively overweight or healthy? Or
No, when we first met, Hayley was a really good basketballer. So she was state level basketball, and I had just finished. Because I played a really high level of rugby league, played everything. I just sort of got my license and just finished playing footy, so I was being lazy, so to speak. We're still surfing regularly and whatnot, but I put on a few kilos, but up to that point, we were both really, really fit and healthy, and then
probably the last year of high school for me, with studying and everything, sport dropped off. And that's probably when I started to put on a lot of weight. After that, just kept on creeping on.
Yeah. So do you put it down to like the weight gain in the past, just comfort, or is it, there's habits that you've had to change up throughout this process that you've had to acknowledge that were there? Like, is it the snacking? Is it the large portions? Like
stress eating?
probably a little bit of all of it.
Just everything, all in the same
I
basket.
look back at when I was really young and I was a big kid. Even when I was playing footy at like state level, I was 13. I was 110 kilos, but I could run 100 meters in under 12 seconds.
Whoa.
And run 10 without breaking a sweat. I've always been a massive dude.
Yeah.
So it was just, it seems like an easy way, but a natural progression for me. Once I stopped playing sport, to just get big.
Yeah. The physical activity.
Yeah. And if you look at both of our families too, they're quite, I guess, big people as well.
Genes weren't on our side as well.
Yeah, that doesn't help, does it?
Yeah, I guess you go back to it was a comfort thing. Like we were always still very active. Like we never realised how big we actually were. It was. We knew we were big, like the bigger couple, but we never. The photo that I sent through for you of the first one of the wedding, we look at those photos now, like we were never that big. And then everyone we speak to, they're like, "You were never that big," and no one ever said to us. They always said, "Oh, like I'll say, I'm getting big." They're like, "Yeah, but you wear it well." Like it was never really stood out to us that how big we'd actually gotten. So, which is probably a comfort thing.
Well, it's a natural progression thing sometimes too, because it happens so slowly that people don't really see. It's not like it happens overnight, and they go, "Oh, what happened?"
Yeah,
it's like, especially your close friends and family, it's like a natural progression. So they just kind of see you gradually grow.
And it's funny because I had exactly the same thing for me. Like a lot of my friends and family, when they've seen all of my my before photos, they're like, "You were never that big," and I was like, "Well, yes, I was clearly."
Or she's just really good at editing.
Or I'm just really good at Photoshop. But they were like, just kind of like, but you used to go to like F45 twice a day, and like you used to play basketball, and you used to do this. I'm like, yeah, but you can still be fit and overweight. Like, I'm not saying that I was fit, but I was still able to do things. It just wasn't that I could, like, there's no way that I could have ran a half marathon at 127 kilos.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I was chatting to my parents, and Shannon, you heard this conversation, that my dad's old business partner used to be 140 kilos or something, and he was like a 60-something-year-old man. And back when I was younger, they'd always be like, "Oh, such and such, he weighs 120 kilos. Like, I can't believe just how big he is." Mind you, they're talking to their daughter, who I never told anybody how much I weighed. And I was sitting at the table weighing in at 127 kilos.
Yeah.
And they were bad-mouthing somebody who was older than me, a male build, and also 7 kilos lighter than me.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Why didn't you ever talk to us about your weight?" And I was like, because how could I? Like,
Yeah. Have you heard him speak about big people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I know how you would consider, like, how you would talk about me behind my back now. But you guys have kids. Yeah.
We've got 2 boys.
2 boys. How old are they?
Just turned 8 and just turned 6.
8 and 6. And did that play a big part in, like, the stress of life? Like, did you notice after that, you took a back seat to them kind of thing, and it kind of escalated a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know about that because I guess because it's the second time that we put on weight. Pre having our eldest, Jet, we actually both went through a big weight loss period within probably the 2 to 3 years before we fell pregnant because we were having trouble falling pregnant.
As everyone does before they go down there.
And we went to a fertility specialist and things like that happened. We had lots of tests and they just said, you need to lose weight. And so we did. We both went on a no-carb, really strict diet, gym 7 days a week, all this sort of stuff, and we lost a whole heap of weight, fell pregnant, and then, yes, probably we did take a back seat to the kids and that and put back on the weight that we lost pretty much.
Because we were basically told that we probably wouldn't be able to have kids, mostly from my side. But Hayley's also got PCOS, so there was a whole lot of, but so then we just started getting fit, which I mainly started because we were living in Townsville at the time. I got really bad depression from no apparent reason. I just started hating life and work and just everything was. So we got back into the gym and become addicted to that. Like it was, we didn't have a whole heap of friends up there. It was just work and the gym. Got really good results and then fell pregnant with the oldest one. Moved back to Nowra where we are now and the time to get to the gym and whatnot become less and less with the little one and I was working heaps to try to pay off the house and Hayley was off work and just one thing led to another I guess and all of a sudden we were back to where we started from without realising and
you talk about like your depression, Dan. How many years ago was that you went through that kind of phase?
Probably 12-ish, 11 or 12 now.
Yeah, do you look back on that? Because like that hit a few nerves with me because that was the same. Like I was never a depressed person as I talked to you all the time. And then I just went through this phase of just hating life.
Yeah,
like very negative.
I've always been super positive. And it was weird because it went as quick as it come. Like I was only sort of a maybe 2-3 month period where I was just like I said to Hayley, I'm leaving you. She'd done nothing, but I'm like, I've had enough of you. I'm leaving. I'm bailing. I'm taking the car tomorrow and I'm going back home.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for no apparent reason, just
you'd hit rock bottom.
We got back to the gym and a few weeks after I started the gym and started exercising again, I was snapped out of it, and
those endorphins.
Never been a problem.
Well, I had this conversation the other day because, like, I was talking to my mum about antidepressants and stuff like that, and like I went through a phase of depression, and I said I can literally look back at mine now, and it was a case of, you know, my liver was very fatty. I was very vitamin D deficient, which if you're vitamin D deficient, it's actually, you know, in England it's called SAD because they don't get enough sunlight and they go into a form of depression through that. So, like, as I said to my mum the other day, mine was caused by my being unhealthy. My body was not in a good place.
And not being outside.
And while I was outside, I was working outside, but because my liver wasn't producing vitamin D and stuff. So, like, mine wasn't a medical, because I know there are some people that have medical depression, but mine was a form of just, my body was unhealthy. And that was what was putting me in this spiral of just not being happy within myself. And then it was just, you know, the divorce happened and then it escalated and different things like that. But, like, it was caused by my body being unhealthy. So sometimes I think, and that's what I was saying to mum, sometimes I think doctors definitely subscribe antidepressants.
They're not a YouTube channel, Shannon. They prescribe things. They don't subscribe things.
English, I don't even speak it. But like sometimes they just push antidepressants out, maybe sometimes too fast.
Yeah.
Because like I definitely with my little brother sometimes feel like he's the same as me. It's just, you know, your body's unhealthy, your mind becomes unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like sometimes, you know, they need to look outside, like look at the big picture rather than just looking at like, oh, you're unhappy? Here, take this pill.
You've got the symptoms. Here, we'll give you the pill.
Yeah.
Which is the unhealthy side. It was probably a big possibility. Hayley's sister moved up with us, which we get on fine, but we were probably drinking more than we should. And it definitely wasn't a self-medication drinking. It was just drinking because it was bloody hot and the beer tasted really good.
The cold and wet, can't beat it.
Yeah, I've never been I was a binge drinker on a Saturday night, like most people are when they're young, but I'd never like to come home from work and drink beer, and then all of a sudden we're drinking half a dozen beers a night. And like I said, it come and went. It went as quick as it come, and hasn't been a problem since. So
yeah, that's good.
You're keeping active when you've got that good endorphin kick through exercise, and because I definitely found that with the injury and stuff, I was kind of finding myself, like a lot of people messaging me like, you just don't seem your normal perky self, and I'm like, because I haven't exercised in 3 weeks. Like it's really I find that's now how I get my
happy pill.
It's just like releases all those endorphins and and I think it's a very healthy way to, you know, rather than relying on alcohol and food and different things like that, having that, you know, release. You know, it puts you in a better headspace.
So, Hayley, it was mentioned before that you had polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. Is that still something that you suffer with now, or has losing the weight, or was that part of the reason why you decided to have surgery? Like, talk us through that.
I guess it was a factor, but not one of the main factors. I still have trouble, and since surgery, especially with all the female things that happen, I'm still having trouble. So it's being a female and all your hormones and everything does play a big part in, you know, that you have to exercise and eat well. And
dramatic weight loss as well really messes with our hormones. Like I know that, like, I'm going through a completely different thing to what you are as well, but like dramatic weight loss for women just puts your hormones in like either overdrive or underdrive, or just sends them going crazy. Like I'm no specialist at all, but from what I've heard, anybody who's
I hope you're not a specialist. Like underdrive, overdrive. You're just in underdrive or overdrive.
Yeah, you're just dropping it back a gear and just cruising.
Yeah.
But like I find that anybody who had some sort of issue prior to weight loss surgery, it might have even been like exacerbated after surgery, because your hormones for a little while just go through the roof and crazy. Did you find that with your PCOS that like after surgery it was worse, or has it sort of?
I always fluctuated with my menstrual cycle, and it's actually got worse since I've had surgery. I'm still seeing the GP and stuff about that.
It's very interesting.
Well, PCOS has a lot to do with like childbirth and stuff, right?
It's your ovaries. Yeah.
Ovaries, yeah. So like you guys have had 2 kids. Like I love that they said you won't be able to have kids. I was thinking this before, and then, you know, Dan being Dan is like, you know what? I'm going to do it twice just to be like, you know, like have 1 kid is like, oh, it's, you know, it's a miracle. But he's like, you know what? I can do it again. Watch this space.
Yeah, the second one come along really easy, which was good.
Well, that's
and please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
it was pretty much.
Is there a third kid in the cards? Is that kind of, or so PCOS?
Do you want to think about that for a second, Hayley? Like you just shook your head so quickly.
Him, not me.
So the PCOS, if it's like an ovary thing, like apart from like the baby side of things, does it affect? Like I'm just asking
painful.
from maybe a very male layman term, but like, it's painful? Is it?
It can be, yeah.
And does it really affect your hormones and stuff, and like
periods are
weight
all
gain
over the
and
place?
stuff?
You can gain weight. Some women get like really bad facial hair and body hair, and like it really depends on the individual too.
And it's really bad for the weight loss, which hindered Hayley massively losing weight a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have more sort of facial hair around that area. All those symptoms, heavy periods, pain at that time of the month.
Are they irregular as well? Like, do you bleed more often or?
They are irregular, but it's funny, they've become more regular since surgery, but still.
Which happened the first time they lost weight too. They went from maybe once every 3 or 4 or 5 months to regular to put the weight back on, to back to very irregular to sometimes only a couple of years.
Yeah, and
wow.
But at the moment it's just really heavy and painful. Where I'm at the point where I really want to go and get a hysterectomy or something drastic because it's that bad.
Gosh, that is quite a big step to take as well, because like that was the whole reason why I ended up going to see a gynecologist at the end of last year, because before surgery they were sort of playing with the idea that I had PCOS, but we could never quite diagnose it, because every time I went in for an ultrasound or whatever, there was like one time there was like 24 cysts on my ovaries, and then the next month I'd go back and there'd be none. There was just nothing there. So they're kind of like, they were scratching their heads and they're like, we don't really know what's going on, but it was so painful. Like because I used to work in a pharmacy, and I'd be standing there talking to like a patient, and all of a sudden I'd be crippled over at the bench because like all of a sudden you just get this like stabbing pain in your ovaries, and it just felt like someone had shoved a knife in there and was like wiggling it around, and people would be like, are you okay? And I'd be like, yep, I'm good, just give me a couple of minutes, like just give me a minute. But then like the end of last year, or not the end of last year, all of last year, I was pretty much getting my period every 2 weeks, and I was like, this is not okay. But all of my other symptoms had disappeared. Turns out it was the complete opposite. But
yeah, so with PCOS, is it a lot more common in overweight women?
Yes. But the thing is, not necessarily overweight, but the thing is that this is what I was going to say. My doctor said to me, when I was 127 kilos, if you lost some weight, then, it would help with your ovaries. And I was like, one of the symptoms of polycystic ovaries is that it's almost impossible to lose weight. So like you're telling me to try and lose weight when one of the symptoms is that you gain weight. Like it's just impossible.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going to say, like, it's not so much overweight women have it, it's a cause of women to be overweight.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So it's like one of those, lose weight to help it, but you can't lose weight because you've got it type thing. So.
Yeah, and that's what my doctor at the time, he was a really cool doctor, he was like, so the good news is that if you lose some weight, you'll probably fix all of this, the whole thing that's happening. But the bad news is that one of the symptoms of having it is that it's very hard to lose weight. And I was like, so what's your answer, buddy?
Yeah, weight loss surgery.
No, but he was hell-bent against weight loss surgery, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Dan, have you both, like when did you first kind of learn about weight loss surgery? Like, was it something that's been on your radar for quite a while, or is it something that someone told you about, or like when did you guys discover it?
Hayley's cousin actually had it done probably 2 or 3 years, maybe more.
Probably 2 or 3 years before we did.
Yeah. So that's how we kind of come about knowing about it. And then Hayley was, like I said, Hayley had been mentioning it for a few years. Like, no, you don't need it. Like going back to, we didn't realise how big. And even living with, like, looking at each other daily, it's like, no, you're not that big. Until we look back now, but. So Hayley had been pretty keen for it, and then she got more and more mentioning it more and more. I'm like, look, if you want to do it, go get it done. I'm not going to bother because I can lose the weight just by going and exercising for the 40th time.
But Daniel, and it's probably one of my main reasons I didn't go and get it sooner is because he is a very I can do it myself person.
Yeah, that's a guy thing. Definitely, I can relate to that.
Yeah. What was it? What was the deciding? What was the deciding factor though for you, Hayley, to go and actually bite the bullet and get it done?
We were camping one weekend with the boys because that's what we like to do as a family. Take our caravan away, and the boys wanted to play touch football, and Daniel and I were playing touch football with them. And as we said before, we've been quite active as young adults and, always into sport. So we just get up and do it with the boys. We don't think about it. I did like a really quick step and, change diagonal ways. And the next morning I woke up with really, really pain all up the side of my body, like I'd pulled a muscle. And, that's just from playing, a 10-minute football game with my two young kids.
Yeah. And we had to pull that short because we were both too out of shape to keep doing it.
So how's the
keep playing and keep doing things. So, just to try and do things with the kids was a big...
So the main driving force for both of us was just to spend more quality time with the kids.
Yeah.
Be able to do the kids stuff with them.
And how did your kids, how old were your kids when you both had the surgery? Do you mind us asking?
They would have been 7 and 5.
And how did they, how were they with the whole process of mum and dad both having this operation within months of each other?
They loved it. They just got more food.
They're like, yes.
Yeah, they were fine. But we were back home, we were back home 2 days later, when we both had really, really good journeys with it. So we were both up and going back to... Hayley was a little bit tired for a little while, whereas I've come home and sort of not the next day. 2 days later, I'm up where I'm walking 2 or 3K and just doing life as normal. I had no pain, neither of us had any pain or abnormal, anything that stopped us from doing anything with them. So they know we don't eat as much, but they don't really.
Yeah, I think as a kid, it would be really big on your radar.
From that, I just thought some parents, take a little bit longer to recover and that sort of thing. Or if you actually had to sat down and be like, mummy and daddy aren't going to be able to eat as much. It's different with one parent going through it, but having both of you go through it at a very similar time. I didn't know if it was going to, change anything.
Which I think has maybe normalised it because we both eat now the same size meals.
Yeah.
So it's not like Hayley will sit down and have something really small and I'll still eat 3/4 of a cow and half a potato farm.
Good diet.
So we so now we all just eat on a small plate and I don't even think they have a second thought about it, to be honest.
It's normal for you guys.
There was a couple of funny comments that our eldest made when we were first, in the first stages, a couple of weeks after surgery. Whereas, he'd come out and go, "What's for dinner tonight, Dad? What's for dinner tonight, Mum?" And he's like, "Oh, well, you're just going to have soup anyway, aren't you?"
Going through the liquid stage was I thought that was quite amusing that everything was just water.
Was that hard?
It would be more funny what they would say at school. How they ask, what do your mum do? What did you do on the weekend? And mum and dad, they just ate soup. Apparently
they do is eat soup.
They have stitches. That would be the funny part of the kid thing. Would be what they said at school.
Was that hard for you though? Because you would have had you would have had to have prepared meals for the kids. But you guys had to then eat puree or liquid. Was that hard?
Yeah. So, no. So I do most of the cooking.
I was about to say, hang on. I was going to very much stereotype just then and be like, hang on, Dan, you can't answer that question because it's probably Hayley that does most of the cooking.
Oh my God, that's a bit sexist.
Yeah, so, and it kind of worked out well for me because I'd already prepped all Hayley's soups and stuff for her, so she just had to come home and eat it. And then because you obviously make up so much, we had a freezer full of it. So by the time I got to it, it was still already in the freezer in little bags, so I didn't have to do much for me. And then when I got to the puree stage, I basically just pureed whatever they were eating.
Yeah.
If it was still too thick, I just added more water until it wasn't. So I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. I just cooked meals, and I just sort of adapted me to. The hardest one was that I was on the start of my puree stage on Christmas Day, which was awesome. Trying to send the roast Christmas dinner through the little battery-powered blender that we had, which was kind of cool.
Wow. See, I said this the other day. The best meal that I had ever had was a roast, and I blended up each individual part, and I put it on my plate with like. Did you hear that?
I was actually riding the bike listening to that when I was doing that, and all I could think about was me blending Christmas lunch through this bloody battery-powered blender.
So obviously, as parents, you guys have changed how you parent due to the weight loss. Do you feel like your relationships changed much because of the weight loss and the weight loss surgery?
No, not really. We've always been extremely close. We've always just been each other's best friends, so we just do.
Yeah.
I'll just say one thing has changed.
Go.
Daniel can't keep his hands off me.
Yes! That's so good.
I knew it was going to. I literally put it down as a question because I was like, I have to ask, has the spark reunited? Because obviously, you've lost a lot of weight. You're feeling good. You're feeling better. And that portrays, especially for a guy. And that's what I always say. Like the more sexy a woman feels, a guy can sense that. If you feel more comfortable, he's going to be like, "Damn girl, how you doing?"
Yeah. And for those people who aren't watching the podcast, Hayley, your face just then was like the cutest thing I've ever seen.
And I was just creeping on her, watching her again.
Yeah.
She's always catching me just creeping on her.
The thing that I absolutely hate is that, he just slaps me on the butt.
That's a man thing. That's a guy thing.
300 times a day.
No, that's a guy thing. There's something about it. I don't know. I used to do it all the time, but ex hated it. It's like it's something about a booty. You got to slap it. You got to give it a little. It's like an appreciation tap. It's like, I see you.
Yeah,
how you doing? Yeah, no, it is definitely. So you definitely find that it's because obviously being more healthy and Dan, obviously you're feeling better about yourself and you're feeling more energetic, along with Hayley looking more and more beautiful in your eyes. It's obviously it's all combining together for you to feel that connection deeper again.
Yeah, like I said, we've always just enjoyed each other's time. So
yeah,
we basically do us and the kids and.
Yeah,
no, it definitely hasn't hurt anyway, put it that way.
Have you guys noticed the other coming out of their shell any more than what they were? Think back to Dan when you were 162 kilos and Hayley when you were 128. Have you guys sort of watched each other sort of blossom from those? Do you think you've changed much from those people?
Hayley has 1,000,000%. She's a totally different person now than what she was 15 months ago.
Yeah, how so?
She used to suffer really bad, probably still does, but from social anxiety. Mm-hmm. There was every time there was something, there was always a excuse to I don't want to go. She'd always go, but you could tell wasn't enjoying it. Mm-hmm. Now she's the first one into the room, smile on her face, loves getting dressed up. We went to a wedding just recently, and there was no hesitations. It was we're going. She blew out 3 pairs of shoes in the space for 15 minutes at the wedding. Luckily, it was only 5 minutes from home, so that didn't faze her. She was walking around with bare feet and not even hesitating.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
I've always been confident. I couldn't give two stuff what people thought of me, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a guy thing versus girl thing too, because as a guy to be bigger, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of perceived a little bit more. Yeah, you're a big character, you know what I mean? But as a woman, it's all about being petite and little, and that society expects you to look a certain way.
Yeah, and
but yeah, definitely Hayley is a totally different person.
Mm. But Hayley, would you say that you've seen changes in Dan as well, or not really?
Not dramatic ones.
He spanks my butt more often.
Like you said, I think I think that he's always been an outgoing person. He's always been the life of the party. so I don't think that he's changed too much in that sense. He's become, I see he's changed in the things that he loves doing.
Yeah.
Like now he loves to train for triathlons. I mean, he's always liked to do that, but he enjoys it more now. Like he'll go for a ride for 50 Ks or whatever he does. Go for a run.
Probably the main thing is that I don't drink anymore. I haven't had alcohol since surgery.
Wow.
Which, like I said before, I was only ever a social drinker but now I don't drink at all. So if anything, I'm probably a little bit quieter when we go out because I'm not wine rotten drunk. But I don't need it now to have a good time.
Yeah.
So I can go and I'll get on the lemon, lime and bitters and more than happy to do that. And we've been to weddings and bus parties and hasn't even crossed my mind to have a drink. Went to a mate's bus party and I took a 10-pack of Coke Zero.
Yeah, no, totally.
Getting on it. Not even a sugar high.
You've obviously always... You've always been a pretty active person by the sounds of it, and you've gone on the whole. You're doing the triathlons, and you're absolutely crushing that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is it something that you after having surgery and losing the weight, you see as a method of keeping the weight off, or do you see it as something that you've just never done?
Because I'm very similar to you, where I need to have something to work to.
Totally.
If I don't have, if I just say, right, I'm going to do triathlon, I'll get bored with it. I need to have something else to keep me motivated to train at a consistently high level. I will still train, but if I've got something to focus on, that really helps. So
it does. Yeah. And especially working towards it and noticing the little changes, especially when you're a little bit faster. You do it a little bit quicker, or a little bit longer, or whatever it is. It's a big driving factor to keep you going.
That's always been even small steps. I remember way back when I first started, I'd send you, I can't remember if it was on a post or something. I'm like, you were talking about running, just doing a kilometre and then doing 2 kilometres. And I'd send some to you when I'd done my first kilometre without stopping on the treadie. And I'm like, that's massive. I used to be able to run 20 Ks at 1 kilometre, sweet. And now I'm up to, I want to do sub 5 minute kilometre, 5 Ks. And just even they're only small goals. I'm not going to set out to do the silly stuff that you do on a consistent level. But
you'll get there because that's something I had thought about today because obviously I just got back into running today after my injury and stuff like that. And it was nowhere near the pace I was running before. But it was one of those because obviously last year I got hit by a car and then I got set back. And, when you're exercising 7 days a week, your fitness gets quite good. But then you don't do it for 3 weeks and you lose it very quickly. And even running today, running the pace I did today was very slow, but I was dying. I was dying. And I'm like, it's good now that I've established that mindset of no matter, where you're at, you always can restructure it and have a new goal in front of you. It doesn't have to be faster than what you're previously. I'm not going to go out and run a 5 Ks at 19 minutes next week, but I can now pull it back and be like, okay, let's just start grinding back.
The best thing about that is that you get to do all your firsts again, and that's what everyone said to me when I went to go have my gosh, it's almost been a year ago that I had my gallbladder out. But I was really bummed because I was like, I've just worked so hard to get to my pace of a 5K in 27 minutes, which was massive for me. And then 2 weeks later, I went and had my gallbladder out, and I've never been able to get back to that. But that's just because I've been a bit lazy. But you kind of get to the whole I'm running I'm running a 30-minute 5K again. You get to re-experience all those milestones again. You're like, yes, I'm back to here again, and I'm back to here again. So
well, that's like Dan saying, he once upon a time was a very fit fella, and if he compared where you are today to where you were once upon a time, you probably would be like, I've done better. But that's not going to motivate you.
No.
It's and that's what I was kind of saying. It's you've got to understand where you are today and where your goals are tomorrow, and be satisfied with accomplishing that goal rather than setting your sights on but I was here once and I'm not going to be satisfied with where I'm at until I get back there. Is that kind of how you feel about it? Were you, obviously you were saying back in the day you were quite fit. Do you ever compare to who you once were?
Yeah, but back in the day you weren't doing triathlons, you were doing football and that sort of thing. So it was a different thing to compare to.
I did when we got back from Townsville, and I did do one triathlon in 2013, I think it was. And the first one I just recently done, I beat my time by like 20 odd minutes, so I was pretty
wow
stoked with that. But yeah, definitely having that something to work on, but I'm not setting any sort of, as long as my favourite saying at the moment is better than yesterday.
Yep.
If I'm
Love that.
doing better than yesterday, then I'm happy.
Good mindset. I like that. I like that saying, actually.
It's funny too.
There you go.
It's funny too, though, because when you say, like, if you don't have something like an event or something to like work towards, you, like, I feel so demotivated, and that's so true. Like, I've booked 0 events in for this year except for Blackall, and I still haven't started training for Blackall because that's not until October. So like by this time last year, we were gearing up to do our first triathlon for the year, and I haven't even been running at all this week. This year. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I haven't really been running at all this year. I do like 2 runs a week and that's it. Like, unless I have something, for me personally, unless I have something to work towards, I don't work towards anything. Like, I just kind of keep consistent, but I don't push myself.
I think with the leader, and like this is something I talked about you on the weekend, like I think getting that word from the doctor where he said the exercise is harming your fertility, because she was over-exercising, really did make exercise take a back seat for her. Which isn't a bad thing, you know, maybe she was overdoing it for her, but like I definitely, since that, the doctor said, you know, you're overdoing it with your, you know, that's why you're having the fertility issues. She kind of pulled back a lot, like almost completely.
It's my new excuse. I can't do anything because I need to have a baby.
Yeah. So a little bit, I think it's played on your head a little bit more than it probably should have.
Get to the gym.
Solid. Good goal.
No, look, I would like to. I struggled a little bit. I hovered around the 94 kilos. So at my 12 months, I was at 94 kilos, coming down from that 128. And I was stuck there for probably about 2 to 3 months. And my personal goal in weight loss was getting down to 80 kilos. So what happened to me is that I started taking Ozempic, which was a 1-week injection of like a diabetic medication.
It's a trial, but with our bariatric specialist.
It's been approved for diabetes, but not approved for weight loss.
Wow,
they're trialing it.
So you were trialing
it with bariatric surgery combined with this. And Hayley's part of the trial, so.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've done a bit of research in it, and they've put it out there for people to trial and then feedback. So my specialist was involved in that. So, so we started that back in October.
Yeah.
Now, and
just after 12 months.
Yeah, so I was stuck around, like I said, that 93, 94 kilos, and now I just hit the 79.
Oh,
so,
yay!
So I'm really pleased about that.
So I lost about 14, 15 kilos on the medications. And
wow.
So the medication, because that's what I was going to ask, because in the form you guys said that you were on a trial, so I was like, oh, I'm very intrigued by this, because obviously there are quite a lot of weight loss drugs out there. Like you got your Saxenda and your Duramine and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the same as Saxenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's essentially the same, like, because Saxenda, as far as I know, used to be a diabetic medication, and then it did get approved.
Medication.
Yeah.
Hayley basically just holds on to insulin, or is
insulin resistant. So I guess, like, if I had have kept on going the way that I was going, basically I was pre-diabetic, I guess, and I would have been diabetic, you know, if I had kept on putting weight and living that lifestyle. Having this medication, it does work the same as diabetic medication. So it works on your pancreas.
Yeah, it balances out your insulin levels and all that sort of thing. And are you still doing it?
Yeah, so it's just a once a week. I started on a low dose, and you just titrate up slowly. And so now I'm on a 1 milligram dose once a week. I'm still doing it now because I'm still seeing results in weight loss each week. So
and so far, no negative side effects from it. No, which we said to the specialist straight up that we'll give it 8 weeks. If it's not for her, we're bailing on it. Basically, she's like, you need to give it a little bit to see how it goes.
But the research that they have done is that you lose, I think she said 12 to 16% of your body weight. And so I'm basically reaching that now from, the weight loss part of it. So it'll be when I have my next appointment in March, we'll see what happens then.
So would you potentially come off it in March if you sort of reach that sort of like 12 to 16%, you just come off it, and then can you go cold turkey off it? You just stop taking it?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the titrating off it, or you just stop it. But yeah, that would be probably my next discussion in March.
Wow, how many people are doing the trial?
No idea.
I'm not
just
sure.
me.
That's not really a question you asked. It's like, how many other people have tried this before me? Well, one. Yeah, maybe it's not for me.
Who was it we were talking to last week? Matt. He was like, oh yeah, my surgeon had done one other CDS and that was the person directly before me.
Yeah. The benefit with this over the suspender is that the suspender's a daily injection.
Yep.
And it's about $400 a month-ish. Yep. Whereas this is once a week and it's 140 something bucks a month. So.
And I guess as well, like coming from a side effects point of view, if there's not too many side effects for a person who's got diabetes, like if there's no like real kind of like hazards there shouldn't be too many hazards for other people really.
They did say that possible headaches. The one thing it has really done, which we didn't expect, was suppress their appetite immensely and made the ability to take in food very, very small. But before it, obviously you could eat a normal sleeve size portion, but now it's like half that, again, whether it's just coincidence or it is part of
an appetite.
So are you back to sort of like, when you first came on to eating solid foods again, is that sort of the amount that you're eating?
A couple of bites of food and she's done.
Wow. Okay.
We didn't expect it to be that dramatic, that part of it, but...
And so have you had your bloods and stuff done since starting it? Are you like, I don't know, are you sort of still getting all your nutrients and all that sort of thing, even though you're eating such small amounts?
Yeah, all my bloods have been fine. I'll probably have another set before I go back in March.
Yeah.
So we can have another look then. But I also, with another thing with me throughout the last 12 to 18 months is that with all the blood tests I've had through this process, they found that I had hemochromatosis. So that's storing too much iron in my body. And that's what's the word for it? I've totally gone blank.
Is that hereditary?
You practically becoming like an iron woman?
Yeah. It's not a chromosome, a
gene.
One, apart from mum, apart from dad, it needs both of them to pass it on. So thanks, folks. You've nailed it.
So which is quite interesting because like after bariatric surgery, a lot of women especially become anemic. So you're the opposite. You're storing too much iron.
Yes.
And how do you treat that?
So I have to go
have a venesection, which is they draw blood. But because it's on a lower level, they said just donate blood through the blood bank, which we thought sweet. But because she'd had surgery, can't donate for 12 months. And now because she's been put down as though
it's a therapeutic donation.
She's got to get approval from
the blood, but
got to get approval from the specialist, which now is proving to be the next hard thing. So everything she needs to do it, she can't do because of the red tape of all the.
Yeah. But usually in women, they don't find out that you have hemochromatosis until after menopause because you don't have your regular menstrual cycle. So it's not really a big issue until after menopause.
So how did you find because of you been doing all of these other tests that you've been...
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'm iron deficient. Do you want to just like meet up sometime and we'll just swap? I'll take your iron because you got too much of it and I don't have enough of it. Like we can make this work, right?
I'm an O negative, so I can donate to everybody.
Perfect. Okay, so next week I'll come down to you guys and we'll just, I don't know how it all works, but I'm sure we can.
Party.
Woo! Complications. Dan, you didn't have very many complications out of surgery, but how are you going with your blood sugar levels at the moment? You were saying that you were having a bit of difficulties with them.
Yeah, that's been interesting. So surgery, fine. No, back to the gym as soon as I could. Everything was fine, and then just randomly out of the blue started having attacks where I'd go all giddy and just couldn't focus. I'd try to have a conversation and couldn't for the life of me get my words out that I was trying to. All I wanted to do was sleep or eat. So they first of all started checking me for my heart to make sure it wasn't because when it happened, my heart rate had dropped down to like 38 beats a minute.
Whoa.
Which has always been fairly standardish for me. I've always had a low heartbeat. The cardiologist said, no, you're fine. There's nothing we need to worry about. I had another one when I was actually driving back from Canberra, which wasn't ideal. So we went to the hospital. They done a heap of tests and everything, come back fine from that. So the doctors are basically like, we've got no idea. And we've seen got doctor's degree to good use the other night on Dr. Google and basically putting it down to, late dumping. So if I have too much sugar, a couple of hours later, I'll have a dumping episode.
Late onset dumping.
Yeah, like a delayed. Yeah, so we basically put it down to that because when I think back of it now, most of the episodes have been after, say, we had an ice cream or a. So it'll be so we're just putting it down to that. So I'm just now making sure I'm not eating
ice cream,
any excess sugar or ice cream or having anything fun.
Episodes were after ice cream.
Yeah,
high sugar.
I was thinking maybe it's a food related thing because I was just retested for diabetes. I don't have diabetes. I have actually had to go to a blood specialist with low white blood cell count and low platelets, which is a little concerning, but he seems to think everything's fine. He's done another test.
That means that you're prone to infection, though, doesn't it? If you're low blood, if you're white.
He's thinking you've possibly got a virus rather than leukemia or because generally it's like a cancer back.
But we also did do Dr. Google on that.
Yeah.
And it could be put down to malnutrition.
Yeah, I was putting it I'm putting it partly down to overtraining, undereating.
Yep. Again, in my very medical background,
something really sophisticated is not going to come out after she says that exact line right there. She's like, this is a non-medical
disclaimer. Alita has not studied anything medical or anything. Yeah. No, but because when I was going through my gallbladder issues, for the longest time, I had the same thing. My white blood cells were just all over the shop. They were either really high, really low. They were testing me for chronic fatigue. They were testing me for all of these things because some days I would literally be like I couldn't get out of bed. And other days I would be so full of energy, but then come 3 o'clock I would literally be on the floor asleep. People were like, you've got chronic fatigue, what's going on? And then I'd have these really weird bouts of what I thought was reflux, but it wasn't reflux. It was actually me having a gallbladder attack. But because I'd never experienced reflux before and I'd obviously never really experienced a gallbladder attack before either, I was like, I remember one time I was here with Shannon and I ended up calling the night doctor and they're like, you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, I'm not going to the hospital for bloody reflux. Turns out if I had it, I probably would have had my gallbladder removed there and then rather than having to pay for it privately. But it's all these random little weird things that you never think of. And legit, I got tested for leukemia because my white blood cells were just going through the roof. And then it just took one random person on Boxing Day to be like, oh no, what you're going through is a gallbladder attack. And then that was the end of it. I went, and that's not what I'm saying is happening with you. But it's just, it's so bizarre that one little tiny thing will just set somebody else's mind off on a different tangent to figure out what's going on.
So we're currently trying to work. I'll go back on the 10th to find out that. But I've had just the last last week or week and a half, had the same thing, just no energy. All I wanted to do was sleep. Eating, I'm back to eating next to nothing because every time I eat something, I feel sick. Which hasn't been, so therefore I haven't been training as much as I would like. But we'll sort it out. The doctors will.
No, it's like the thing that came to my mind was when we were driving back from Taree. I remember I had one thing when we had like kind of I guess it would be like a high carb lunch, and I just felt like I wanted to sleep. And then someone did a story on it the other day where I was listening to it, and they were talking about it, and it was a case of like a form of dumping, where like it almost just put you to sleep. And like if you ate too many carbs or too high of fat, it would just kind of like force your body into like just wanting to go into shutdown mode.
There's like excess energy.
The one coming back from Canberra, I actually did get home and I passed out on the couch. I laid down and I just passed out. Yeah. Passed out cold.
Yeah.
And I woke up and Hayley was standing over me and I had no idea why she was there, why I was on the lounge, it was really, really weird.
Just almost fainted.
And then she fed me a heap of chocolate, which was probably not the ideal thing, and I was good 5 minutes later. So
yeah, and then he went into a coma for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's all been really, really good.
Yeah. So for you guys going forward, like, is it, what weight wise, you're pretty happy with where you're at, like, or have you got any other goals externally apart from the weight loss that you want to achieve?
Weight wise, no, not so much. We're pretty happy. Hayley wants to get down to maybe a couple more, and then get back into the gym and tone back up to 80 kilos. It'd be like not muscular, but
I think that was one thing, going back to that other question that we were talking about, like with the goals, is that I wanted to actually get to my goal of weight loss, 80 kilos. And I just had in my head that going to the gym and building muscle would never, ever get me down to 80 kilos. And so now that I'm there at 80 kilos, that I think that if I go to the gym, I know now it's only going to be muscle. It's not going to be fat there. I know that doesn't make sense because, you build muscle burns fat, all that sort of stuff, but that's how I was thinking.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, when you get on the scales and you are wanting to see the number go down, it doesn't matter what happens. Like you probably were getting, more toned and you're building more muscle, but you don't want to see the scales going up when you want to see the scales go down. And that's why these days I very rarely post how much weight I've lost, what size clothing I am, what weight I am, because it's all sort of irrelevant. Like, as long as you feel good within yourself, as long as you're running as fast as you can run, or you're training as hard as you can train, or you're building that muscle, or like you're working towards your goals. Yes, weight is a very important part of it at the start, because let's face it, we all come into this process to lose weight. So the numbers on the scales going down at the very beginning is definitely what you want to see. But then once you sort of start once you start seeing the numbers shifting, it's then that you've got to sort of change your goals and figure something else out. I think
it's also something you can't get addicted to as well, because like I know personally, I got to 95 kilos and I was kind of like, that's where my lowest I'd ever been in the past. And then, I was happy with that, but then also the other 10 kilos that came off was due to the lifestyle I was living. If I had been very focused on like, I need to lose another 10 kilos, it probably would never have come off, because I would have been discouraged by how slow it was coming off. Because obviously we're very like based on instant gratification. So like we want it to be like, at the start it's like 10 kilos or 5 kilos a week or whatever it is. And it's very quick and very fast. And then it slows right down, and then it's really hard to keep motivated from that scale. And that's what I always say to people, like, as much as the scale is great, sometimes you need to throw it out. You need to just focus on how you feel and how you're living, and those little things within your life that are like pushing you to where you want to be. Because like if you focus on the scales and that number, as Hayley was just saying before, some weeks it might be, bad part of the menstrual cycle, or you've gained some extra muscle, and then should you feel discouraged from that? No. So you should just look at it and go like, I feel more, like I feel more accomplished this week.
Well, I'll never forget not the very beginning, but like when I first sort of met you and I was sort of hanging around the 75 kilo mark and I was like, oh yeah, cool. You know, I want to get down to about 72. And then I went past 72 and I was sort of hanging around the 70 kilo mark and I was like, I don't want to see the 60s. I'm almost 6'10". I don't want to see 69 kilos. And then I ended up getting there and I've been hanging around the sort of 65 to 68 kilo mark for like the last maybe 8 months. And then leading into Christmas, I stopped exercising as much and blah, blah, blah. And I went back over 70 kilos. And I had like a mini freak out because I was like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. I've gone back up to 70 kilos. I was like, and then I had to like rein myself back and be like, Lita, no, you never wanted to be in the 60 kilo mark. Like, you know, this isn't the end of the world that you're now sitting at 70.3 kilos. Like, it's not even bad. Like, but you just got to remember where you started from as well, because once upon a time I would have been super happy to be sitting at 72 kilos. I got to 70 kilos because I gained weight, so to speak, and I was freaking out. It's like, no, just go to the toilet. You know, you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I can fluctuate anywhere up to 4 kilos a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And women, it's worse. Like, we can fluctuate up to 10 kilos in a week because of...
I think about to say 10 kilos in a day, and I'm like, wow, that's a really big...
No, and look, 10 kilos in a week is a bit of an exaggeration as well. But, like, you get what I mean. Yeah. Like, it's just... cycles and all that sort of thing. It doesn't work for us. Women have got it so much harder than males.
Our scales just sit in the bathroom. We're always jumping on it, but we don't pay any attention to what they're doing. It's just more of a...
Definitely in the first, like, 6 to 12 months, they were a big part of it, as you were saying. But after that, since...
I just do it more of a novelty to see how much they can change in the space of... Like, even just jumping in the shower, jumping back out, and all of a sudden being a kilo lighter, it's like... Ooh.
See, mine was the opposite. I jumped in the shower and I was a kilo heavier. It's almost like my body absorbed all the water.
Yeah, that's right.
A liter the sponge. So in all, would you say doing it as a couple has made it easier or harder? Yeah. I doubt it'd be harder, but like, has it made it easier? And is it something that you know?
Easier without a shadow of a doubt. Because we've been there to keep each other accountable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having just had to rely on ourselves and also not encourage each other.
Yeah.
Like if we could see each other's maybe struggling because we haven't, especially early on when Hayley was stuck around the 94 kilos and at that stage it was constant gym, eating nothing, still could not lose the weight for I was there to say, no, you're doing good. Come on, we'll take some measurements and oh, look, you've lost a couple of centimetres.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much easier because we're both know what each other is experiencing, like when we go to eat.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to force more food on each other than necessary. And yeah, we just know how each other would be feeling and say how it would. So it's definitely easier.
And skin-wise and stuff like that, do you see that on the books, like having skin surgery, or you're pretty happy with where you're at, or?
No. Hayley, definitely yes.
Yeah, she wants to.
She just started a new job, so we're waiting for that pay to start. Then we'll take out private health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be 12 months pretty much from when that... more just,
I think it's just like the tummy.
The apron.
Look, I could go the whole thing, but I'm not really fussed about the legs and the arms. I think it's just my tummy, my belly.
Tummy maybe give the girls a bit of a perk up.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that for you, Dan, or is that for Hales?
I love how Australian he was with that. Give the girls a perk up.
Hayley's wanted it for years. I honestly don't see anything wrong with them as they are, but...
I don't think I need anymore. I just need them lifted.
Yeah.
Post-baby, post-weight loss, it's all gravity, age, it's all...
Well, I was going to say, you've got to remember too that you've had 2 kids, so it's not just skin around your stomach from weight loss. It's also you've stretched it out twice to have babies. You've fed 2 kids out of your breast, so it's not just weight loss related. So yeah, treat yourself. You go get that done. Treat yourself.
Yeah, you take those resting plans. Treat yourself. So, Dan, looking at you, if you could give one piece of advice to someone starting this process, what would it be?
Trust the journey.
Trust the
I
process.
just actually, as you say that, we've got a friend that is just moved to puree, so she's just done it now. And I just keep telling her, just trust the process.
Yeah.
And listen to your doctors. They know better than we do. Our surgeon, we cut ties with him really quickly, and we now have part of the same team. We have a excellent bariatric specialist.
Yeah.
And she is amazing. So we just listen to her, trust her. If she says we need to do something, we do it. So yeah, trust the process and listen to the doctors.
Yeah. And Hayley,
And also trust you.
what about
I
you?
think the same, but also don't get discouraged. Like, if we're talking about the weight and the scales and things like that, don't get discouraged. Just keep doing what you need to do. Keep your protein in, keep your water up, all those things that they say to do. I guess that's trusting the process.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Trust the process, but also keep yourself, I said that to say kind of in my post, because that's something like I had thought about the other day, where it's like, it's all good saying live a balanced life, but sometimes you can be too balanced, and I think keeping yourself accountable is because like you can be like, I'm going to have this cheesecake, but then I'm also going to have this beer, and because I'm living a balanced life, but it's also like, I think sometimes balance can be very stretched.
Yeah. So it becomes unbalanced. Yeah.
Yeah, because like every time I think of like, trust the process, it's also like trust the process, but also trust in your initial thoughts.
I think a massive thing too is like make sure that you have a good support network. Like trust the process, but also have a great support network. That you just said, you see a surgeon anymore, but you see a bariatric specialist. That if you've got any concerns or whatever, you can go and talk to them. And then when I say have a great support network, yes, you need to have a support network of professionals. It'd be great if you could work with a dietitian, a psychologist, a specialist, all that sort of thing along your journey. But also just having people who you can actually just talk to, reach out to, that sort of thing. Because I knew at the very beginning I had nobody, and it was very tough. Like I didn't know anybody, but I had a really great bariatric team from my surgeon. But then going down the track, being introduced into the Instagram community and the online community, it's been a massive thing for me to just be able to talk to people and connect with people and just have support and just be like, hey, not necessarily be like, did you go through this? But just be like, this is what I'm feeling right now. And then be like, oh my God, no, I totally can relate to that because I went through that as well. Like, it's just such a massive thing.
Yeah, me more so than Hayley, because I spend more time on the Instagram account. But I'm the opposite. I get my support by supporting others. I've got there's a few people that we stay pretty close with. One of them actually lives about 10 doors up the road.
No way.
And if they're struggling, because I have had such a easy journey with it all, I just talk through stuff with them if they're struggling, because I'm fairly mentally headstrong, so I didn't have the dramas of if I wasn't losing weight, so it'll come off whenever it comes off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard on some of the other podcasts that people have had negative comments from some that we have been totally opposite. We have had not one negative comment from anybody, anywhere.
Family,
anyone we've told, they've been 1,000% supportive of it.
Yeah.
We've got, like I said, we couldn't have asked for a better journey through the whole thing. Like the past 15 months has just been amazing on every aspect, really.
That's really good.
So good.
I was actually going to ask that earlier when you talked about the Instagram side of things, because you obviously have a shared account. I was going to be like, Hayley, how do you deal with all the ladies sliding into Dan's DMs? But like, obviously he's the maker.
He doesn't see it. It's all the weird creepers coming in thinking that I'm Hayley.
I thought that was me. I literally messaged you being like, hey, lovely, do you want to come on BARI BANTER? Yeah, cool, that'd be sweet, yeah. And I was like, hang on a second, this isn't Hayley. This
I think you're going to say one of the creepers. You're like, oh, Hayley, you looking good at those. I'm like, Alita, okay, calm down a little bit over there.
So had plenty of guys come in thinking that it was just Hayley, and get a rude shopping, I tell them I'm a 6'4" dude.
What are you wearing? Well, I'm wearing like
I'm wearing a pair of stubbies and a singlet. What are you wearing?
Canterbury's and a singlet.
I go,
I don't go and see the comments or anything like that. I go on there and I do comment back sometimes when I do post. But yeah, Daniel does a lot of it. Which
mostly because I've got more free time or more spare time than Hayley.
Yeah. So rapid fire question, Hayley, because we ask it in the form proudest moment. But Hayley, what's been your proudest moment that Dan's gone through?
Oh, mixing it up.
I think it's triathlon.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, because we, one of them was it was pouring down rain. It was really horrible. I'm dragging the kids out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I knew that he'd be very disappointed if we weren't there. And they did delay the start.
For lightning.
For the swim. But we got there and we were in our raincoats and we had our umbrellas and I think that it was proud, and the boys were really proud of him.
Yeah, the boys.
He was really proud of what he did.
The boys showed a lot more interest than I thought they would have in my training and me doing triathlon. I thought they would just be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
but,
so good. And
I think
Dan,
I think that's a big thing though. Like before you pass that, like being a dad, like I kind of related to that because like you want to make your boys proud. You want them to look up to dad and be like show interest and be proud of what he's achieving. And clearly by them seeing that, it's kind of like, oh, dad, like superhero. Look at him. He's out there like doing this kind of thing.
And I can totally relate because every time.
Oh, you're a dad?
No, not being the dad thing. Every time I have gone to do the swim leg of a team triathlon, the weather's have always been so bad that the swim always gets. It's
ferocious.
The course gets altered, and it's just kind of like, yeah, we probably shouldn't send you into the ocean, but we're going to anyway. So good luck with that. Like.
Yeah. And, the two that I've done is normally flat as a tack. The last one, there was waves and the swim people had to pull out from the swim because it was just too choppy and it was crap.
I'll never forget our first one. There was people because we were in the team obviously, and that ends that starts last. So all of your pros go off, and then all of your age categories go off, and then the teams are last. And we heard here I am, first triathlon I've ever done, first ocean swim I've ever done as a competitor. And we're hearing such and such has been pulled off the course, did not finish. And there was 30 of them that did not finish. And here I am just being like, you got this. You used to do nippers. You're okay. And then Shannon goes just before I get in the water, God, I'm glad it's you doing the swimming, not me.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing?
I still feel that way. If I could not do the swim, I think I'm going to transfer to duathlons.
Yeah. And miss the swim.
Yeah, swimming's overrated.
And so, Dan, proudest moment for Hayley?
Just her social confidence that she's got and her outwardness now that she's got. Seeing her walk into a room smiling rather than hiding. Just her confidence and overall happiness with
who she is now.
That's a no-brainer.
Well, I said that last week where a confident guy, a secure guy wouldn't want your woman to be, that sounds very but you want your partner to be very confident and feel good about yourself. And clearly by Dan acknowledging that, that Hayley feels better in her skin. It shows that Dan wants her to feel, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And that's because he's a secure man.
You always say that. Put your woman on a pedestal and she's going to end up appreciating you more.
Because there's too much. You want to...
I've always said she's an 11 out of 10, but she's actually feeling like an 11 out of 10 to herself now. So.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, stop it.
I love the smile that Hayley just had.
Oh, I want to take a photo of you guys right now because that was the cutest thing ever.
So they're having a baby in 9 months.
Yeah. You were like, no, it's definitely off. Tonight it's...
that's it. That for the first couple, you guys are amazing. Definitely small fries. You've done incredible. Yeah, you definitely have. It's your accounts that I watch all the time. Well, your account I watch all the time because you are absolutely nailing it. You're at the emphasis of everything you should be approaching for this process.
And it's really great to see it from both sides of the scale.
Yeah,
because
I love it.
It's like, the triathlon world, the parent world, there's so many different aspects to both of your journeys. They've like collided, so to speak, as one. And it's just, it's really fascinating.
It is because, Dan's off doing triathlons. Hayley has no interest in triathlons. She's on the gym thing, but being a mother, making it feel like they're better parents by being better partners. Like you're an emphasis of the whole process. You're showing all of what can be. Like, look at you guys sit there. Like, look at them. Like, picture perfect.
Guys, you need a smaller couch because you're too small for the giant couch that you guys have got there.
Yeah, so they're kind of showing everything possible.
When we brought this couch, they like, is it going to be something you're going to sit on all the time? We're like, nah, not really. It's more of a decorative thing. They're like, yeah, because it's probably a little bit small for you.
Oh.
To sit on all the time. It's like,
honestly, it looks like it's a 6-seater couch the way that you guys are sitting on it at the moment. Like, you've just got so much room around you.
It's a smaller version. It's just, but yeah, got told that the couch probably isn't built for someone of our size. I was like, screw you, I'll sit on my couch. I want to sit on my couch.
I'll take 2 of them just to piss you off.
I think I'm working out with Dan. It's like you tell Dan he can't do something, he's going to do it. Whether it's you can't have kids, he's like, F you. I'm going to have 2 kids.
Putting it out there. Hey, Dan, don't know if you've listened to the last few episodes of Barry Banter, but I challenge you to Black or 50 in October.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it.
You can't do it.
Next minute, he's like, I'll do the 100.
I've played a bit of interest in that, actually. Just along the way.
Stop it, I was joking.
All of a sudden, he's got a rush to do it. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Shit.
You guys have done incredible. Thank you so much for sitting down with us, honestly. Like, you guys are a power couple. Amazing.
I think a lot of people would take a lot of things out of this as well, because it's not just one story, it's 2 stories in how to make it work together as well. So that's been very interesting.
The big thing to take away from this is, like, obviously the big statistic is couples, obviously 50% don't last. You heard from Dan and Hayley both times, support's being the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Obviously they've had the surgery, so they understand it. So obviously they're never going to be part of the statistic because they get it so well. So if you're looking at this and your partner's going through weight loss surgery, take this as an example.
Be supportive.
You need to be not supportive, but open to what they're going through. Don't be closed off to, but you've had that. Be open to learning as much as they are.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's a really important message to take away from this.
Well, you guys have been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Barry Banter.
Why, yes, that is another episode of Barry Banter in the books. We hope you got a little something from that one.
Head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check us out, or go to baribanter.com where you can watch past episodes, give us feedback, and let us know who you want to hear from next.
We love you all, and as always, please stay beautiful.